Hi, I'm Glenda Adkisson, a member of the Kentucky Weather Preparedness Committee, and I'm here today with Rick Shanklin, who is the chairman of this committee, and Rick is also the Warning Coordination Meteorologist for the National Weather Service in Paducah, Kentucky. Thanks for being with us, Rick, and today we're going to talk about some new technology.
Yeah.
So we're excited to hear about that. And before we get started on that, though, can you tell us, share with our audience a little bit about the Kentucky Weather Preparedness Committee and what that is and what the purpose of that is?
Sure. We have a committee across the Commonwealth, and our charge is exactly that: is preparedness, weather preparedness, all types, whether it be tornadoes, winter storms, ice storms. And we exist to promote that preparedness. We work with the media, emergency management, National Weather Service, law enforcement. Many agencies are involved in it. And we also organize and put on the tornado drill each March. So that's an important part of what we do.
Well, and this new technology is going to help that effort and is going to improve the forecasting capability. So let's kind of start with the basics. Can you explain to us exactly what is weather radar?
Yeah, weather radar is a detection system. It's been around for many years. There have been advancements throughout the years, but it tells us basically where weather is happening. It detects different particles in the air, raindrops, of course snow, anything like that. So it's a very important part of us being able to detect what's going on out there, which in turn is very important to us getting warnings out when hazardous weather is moving in.
So what is specifically Doppler radar? Yeah,
Doppler radar is an ability to see the atmosphere in a greater way, because with the conventional radar that was around for decades, we could only see where it was precipitating, how intense it was. With Doppler radar, we can also see how the atmosphere is moving, because it's seeing the raindrops and in some cases birds, insects, things in the atmosphere, and it tells us how the atmosphere is moving. And that's very important when it comes to things like a thunderstorm, and in particular tornadoes, that we can see that motion in the storm itself.
So Doppler radar is better than just the regular radar, and with this new technology, the dual polarization, how is that better than the conventional Doppler radar? Yeah,
and exactly, it's a step up above that, and I think we have a video that'll kind of give us a good overview of that, but it's definitely an advancement from what even just Doppler radar alone provides.
Okay, well, let's take a look at that video now.
I'm Kat Taylor. Now, you might be wondering, what is dual polarization? Well, allow me to explain. You've probably seen them around. You know, the tower with the white dome. They kind of look like a giant golf ball. Well, many of those house Doppler radars. About 20 years ago, towers were strategically placed across the country, giving forecasters a better view of the weather. Since then, the radars have been continually improved.
So with this improved radar, when will we see locally this upgrade, and when will we see the benefit from this?
Yeah, we're really excited because in Paducah at the radar, we received the upgrade in mid-January, and all of our adjacent radars that also cover our region have already happened or will be happening in the near future.
What was the cost of this, and is there a cost benefit of having this new improved radar system?
Yeah, there was substantial cost. This is the biggest upgrade that we've had in the 2 decades since the Doppler radars were deployed. About $225,000 per radar site. The good news, even though the cost is substantial, is the estimates are on the economic help is about $700 million per year. So just in a year or two, we should more than pay for all the upgrades of all the radars, of the 122 plus radars across the nation.
So Rick, this will save money in the long run, and it has the potential to save lives as well. Now, as far as the radar is concerned, how will it help you understand more, or will it help you understand more about what is going on with the weather?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it gives us a lot of additional information as it assesses what's going on in the atmosphere. It sees essentially everything that's in the air, any type of particles. and that added information is in the form of differentiating between the types of precipitation, whether it be rain, sleet, snow, hail, and all that's very important to us being able to tell everybody what's going on and what's expected.
Well, in our area, certainly we're always thinking about flooding. Will it help with that forecasting?
Yeah, one of the really neat things as a result of how the Doppler, the dual polarization Doppler radar works is it will be sampling both in the vertical and horizontal, and as a result of that, it can actually give us an idea of the size of the raindrops and the intensity of the raindrops, and from that we can tell where we're having heavy rain and potential flooding. So it will definitely help with forecast, flood warnings, flash flood warnings.
Interesting. What about winter weather and winter weather storms?
Yeah, the same thing with the winter weather. It can differentiate between the types of precipitation, whether it be the rain, sleet, or snow. And as we know in our region, we are often on kind of the border zone area of the transition between those types of precipitation. So it will help greatly with that. And it also helps us to know when we're transitioning from one of those to another. So not just the placement, but also the transition over a period of time.
Okay, and certainly in the wintertime you can have tornadoes, but often we see a real increase in tornadoes in the spring. Will it help with forecasting tornadoes?
It will help with the detection of tornadoes. There is one very valuable aspect of the dual polarization technology, and it actually can depict if there is debris being lofted up by a tornado into the atmosphere. It can actually depict that debris for us. There's even an algorithm called a tornado debris signature that we'll utilize. And we're seeing on some of the graphs there some of that, but that will be able to tell us if there's something, you know, shingles, insulation, something being blown up into the atmosphere from the tornado. It can tell us that. So it's great in verification, and that is especially important for the nighttime tornadoes to be able to see these debris signatures in the tornadoes because it's very difficult for our storm spotters at night to see what's going on. So it will give us verification of that. And that will give us increased confidence, and that will hopefully help people to take action, which is very important in our region because we are in the peak of the nocturnal or nighttime tornado alley. So we need all the help we can get at night to let people know there's a tornado in progress. Now, having said that, it will not tell us in advance of what's going on. Again, it's a detection device, so it tells us once things are already there. But that can help, you know, for the forecast downstream in a secondary way. Okay,
so it will not show in advance, but certainly it can verify that there is a tornado on the ground and still possibly give warning to those individuals that are in the path of a tornado then.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other important thing about that is we find in all of our social media and our studies is that people need hardcore verification in some cases before they'll take action. Some people are very quick to respond, some much slower. So when we have good evidence, like from a storm spotter, or now we'll have this tornado debris signature as a result of dual polarization, that gives us increased confidence. That in turn gets people to take action, and that's what we want, obviously, when they're in harm's way.
What about hailstorms and forecasting that type of event?
Yeah, it definitely will help with forecasting hail. You know, just the addition of the conventional Doppler radar helped some with that, and all the advancements in the capabilities of the Doppler radar. But with the dual polarization, it will be able to not only tell us or give us a much better idea of where hail is occurring, but also the size of the hail. It can do a pretty good job of doing that. We see some of the products here. There's one, the CC correlation coefficient, and it's just a display of where hail is occurring and how large that hail is. So we're very excited about that.
You mentioned that area weather forecasting or National Weather Service locations in the area will be going to this new technology. And I know across the country many places have gone to this. Has it made a difference in the areas that have had this upgrade?
Yeah, we really believe it's made a very significant difference across the country. And just to give you an example of that, my counterpart in Nashville, Tennessee, Tom Johnstone, had discussions with him because they had the dual pole upgrade there in 2011. And he gave me several cases where their dual pole radar was able to detect hail, heavy rain, and even the tornado debris signature. In fact, 3 cases in particular he talked about with that. 2 that it indicated a tornado debris signature. Indeed, they had a tornado there. And the other one, they never were able to find the damage, and he said it could have been because it was in a more remote area, you know, the debris in the woods and that kind of thing. But so there's, you know, that for that to be the case close to home and getting some good feedback, you know, that it's really made a difference like that is very good for us to hear.
So can you explain a little bit more about your terminology in the debris signature and kind of what that means, and as well as when you all put out what you call a product, what does that even mean? What is a National Weather Service product?
Yeah, well, the debris signature, again, that is debris, literally debris that's being picked up and swept through the atmosphere, you know, maybe a few hundred feet, a few thousand feet up into the atmosphere by the tornado circulation itself. We actually had the radar just started working with the dual pole technology in Paducah with the January 12th event where we had the tornado hit the church in Livingston County at Hampton. And we thought we could see a little bit, even though it was a very transient tornado, very quick, down and up, we thought we could actually see some debris with that. So that's you know, huge to be able to see that and have some verification that there is some debris occurring. The product aspect of it, basically all the images we're seeing, those are products, different radar products. But beyond that, we take all the information from the radar, from satellites, from observations on the ground, storm spotters, all of that, and we incorporate that, and then we have written and also visual products that we produce. They're on our website. We send out the products. For example, we consider a tornado warning, that's a product. It's the actual text we send out, and with that it generates graphics and shows the area of the warning, how long it's valid, you know, where the tornado is, where we expect it to move. So that's what we mean by a product.
So with this new technology, will there be a different type of graphic, or will there be a different type of product coming out from the National Weather Service?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there are 14 products that are produced by dual pole technology. There are really 4 main products, and we can see the graphic with the different products that dual pole will provide us. Correlation coefficient, there's one called hydrometeor classification that tells us what type of precipitation is falling. Again, if it's hail, is it snow, is it rain, that kind of thing.
Okay, and I think on this next slide we may have some different kind of warning systems, and so as just a general citizen, can I see actually the dual pole data?
Yeah, you can. It's not, because of the bandwidth issues, I don't think we're going to have it right on our website in general, but anybody can access it through, you have to buy some of the applications, like there's, you know, numerous different applications out there. There's one called Radar Scope, for example, that's viewable on the iPad, and there's several other vendors that are going to produce those. So they are available. You just have to get that type of application in general to see it. To some point, maybe some of the TV meteorologists will show some of the new products too occasionally. So they will be available, not readily maybe, but they certainly will be available.
Okay, so all of this new technology, I believe, is part of the national, or the Weather Ready Nation initiative. Yes. And can you give us a brief overview of what that actually means, the Weather Ready Nation initiative? Yeah,
that is a national effort to ensure we are as prepared as we absolutely can be. And any part of that preparedness, whether it be the detection from the radars, the satellites, the observations, to to us, our means of getting that information, assimilating it, and getting it out to everybody in the form of a warning, for example, to what's possibly the most important part of this, because if this doesn't happen, kind of everything else is in vain, and that is individual preparedness. And that's where the Kentucky Weather Preparedness Committee that we talked about early on really comes into play. We've got to have that complete picture to be a weather-ready nation. Okay,
a few minutes ago you commented about the church that was impacted, and on the there is a website with the Kentucky Weather Preparedness Committee, the local or for West Kentucky, fullyprepared.com, and this focuses pretty heavily on church preparedness or any type of organization where you're going to bring a lot of people together can benefit from the information on this website, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. And that's something, you know, in the Kentucky Weather Preparedness Committee, we looked at that, you know, maybe some areas that we could have some more improvement in that we maybe didn't look at as much as we would like to have in the past. And the churches were one of those. Other organizations, as you said, this website, it's basically ensuring that these different entities have a way to get the warning and they have a plan to take action that includes the safest location within those facilities for people to go in case of a tornado, so we don't have another tragedy like we had in Piedmont, Alabama, where we had 20 people killed in a church there a couple decades ago, simply because they didn't get the warning and know to take action. So we want to do all we can, and the fullyprepared.com website is a great way for anybody in those churches and different organizations to get prepared.
Well, great. And for more information, anyone is welcome to go to fullyprepared.com or weather.gov/Paducah for more information, right?
Absolutely. Those are two great resources.
Well, Rick, there's one question that I would love for you to have more information on, and that is this. The nocturnal tornado systems or dangers. Mm-hmm. First of all, why do we see more tornadoes at night, and what is the risk?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, in our region, just the way things set up at night, for example, we have something called a nocturnal or nighttime low-level jet. And one thing you got to have tornadoes is you got to have strong wind fields that spin up the tornado, and wind fields that change direction as you go up through the atmosphere. That's what gives the spin to the storms that eventually produce the tornado. Unfortunately, that does happen more in our region, especially in recent years, than anywhere across the nation, as we've seen in the graphic. With that, and it is a huge concern. Most of our fatalities in our region have occurred at nighttime. And just think of 2 tornadoes alone in our region. We've had 52 fatalities in the last decade or so in our region, and I'm talking about within about a 100-mile radius of Paducah, roughly. 52 tornado fatalities. 8 of those occurred at night in Harrisburg in 2012, Leap Day 2012. 25 of those occurred in Evansville, November 6, 2005. So just 2 tornado events, and we have 33 fatalities there. So it's a huge concern, and people have just absolutely got to have a way to get the warning and then be sure they respond to the warning at night.
Well, one more bit of information on that is this jet. This weather system that you're talking about, does that happen because in the evenings or overnight the temperatures change? Is that what makes that occur?
Well, to some extent, yeah. As we cool down at night, actually the winds will do what we call decouple from the ground, and the friction that keeps the winds at a lesser speed during the day because it kind of releases from the winds at the ground, and that allows the winds up above the ground, and I'm talking a few hundred, a few thousand feet, to intensify more. That sets up, and that's essentially what happens.
Well, and I know as we're hearing warnings about tornadoes, sometimes you hear the sirens go off, but sometimes people are sound sleepers. And my experience has been in visiting with people that sometimes they will not keep their weather radio on because it goes off for too many warnings. It is important that people have a weather radio, and whenever there is advance warnings about some severe weather possibilities, they need to keep it on at night. So what is a good answer I mean, how do we get it so that we can live with this weather radio, that it's not going off all the time, but yet we're getting the warnings that we need? What's a good solution?
Well, there's really two solutions to that. Number one is be sure, and most of the weather radios are now what we call same specific area message encoding capable. So be sure you have a same weather radio. Then you can program which county or counties you want to get the warning for. If you have any tendency to turn that weather radio off at night, or another family member, I would encourage you to only program one county to get the warnings for your county. And the thing is, if it's nearby, the warning usually extends into another county adjacent to you anyway. So that would be number one. Any tendency to shut the weather radio off, then to reprogram it to just your county. Secondly, if it's still an issue, and you don't, you turn it off because it's going off for other things, you can buy a higher-end weather radio that is programmable to specific events. So if you just want tornado warnings and you don't want, other types of warnings, you can program those other warnings out. But you need to always, obviously, keep like tornado warnings, flash flood warnings, unless you live on top of a mountain or something, programmed in your weather radio. So that's a couple solutions that can help. And
there are some services I have read about that actually can notify you via your cell phone and those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's, most people have a cell phone nowadays, and that's a great way to receive warnings. You can sign up, as you mentioned, for some of those services that different vendors provide out there. Different entities provide those, and starting in 2011. There was a new system called PLAN, Personal Localized Alert Notifications, that everybody that has kind of the newer cell phones, they have to have something called a WEA chip in it, warning event area chip, and you need to check with your provider. But if you have that in your cell phones, you actually will automatically get tornado warnings and flash flood warnings, and a couple other warnings like blizzard warnings. So if you have that, but you need to check to see if you have that technology in your phone, then you will get the warnings over your cell phone, even though you haven't signed up for that.
Do you know if that comes in a text or it actually calls your phone? Or are you aware of how that actually comes to the phone?
It is a text-like message. Exactly the alert, how audible. There is some audible function to that as well. It probably depends somewhat on your phone and all, but it is not a typical SMS text message. It's different. It actually kind of takes up your whole screen on your phone. And again, it's technology that was put in the phones. If the WEA chip is the key thing that has to be in there for that to work.
So the bottom line on this is that nighttime during stormy weather is dangerous. And we need to make sure that if we're going to get a warning, that it is enough to wake us up. And I think everybody feels like it's never going to hit my house. But the reality is it has hit many homes where they were not expecting it, and many people lost their lives because they didn't prepare and they didn't take action.
Exactly, and we've hit on one major area of concern with that, and that is having a way to get the warnings. But the other thing where we lose most people is in mobile homes. So that's the other thing. If you live in a mobile home, you need to absolutely have a plan, and to get out of the mobile home, if a warning is issued, and for nighttime tornadoes, we really highly recommend that you don't wait till a warning is issued. If a tornado watch, for example, is issued, comes out, say 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the evening, have a plan, a neighbor, a relative, a friend, somebody's house that you can go to overnight and not stay in the mobile home. The vast majority of the fatalities in our region and nationwide are from people in mobile homes.
So really the key thing here is making those contacts and just having the conversation with a friend, a family member about, if I live in a mobile home, can we just come and spend the night, and getting those things done in advance and then actually doing them. A lot of times people hesitate to take action. Well, I think that gives us a lot of great information on being safer at night.
Yeah, absolutely. Those key things, if we do those, we will all be much safer.
Well, Rick, I think that gives us a great deal of information, and the new technology sounds like an exciting upgrade, because I think it will make a difference in our local area. And so thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for watching today. To get more information, not only on the dual pole new technology with the National Weather Service, but also on preparedness, you can either go to weather.gov/Paducah, or you can go to the website fullyprepared.com, where you can find out information on preparedness and how you can be more ready. Thank you again for watching.